cares more about this game? The two teams playing in it or the fans watching it? I'm honestly not sure. Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, powered by your Front Range Toyota dealerships for the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. We've got Big E and Rudo here live as the Avs are taking on the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Just to set the stage, Dallas is up 3-0 right now on Vancouver. Dallas gets a win in that game. The Avs cannot move up. At best, they can finish in the 3 seed. And if the Avs get a single point in their last 4 games of the season, none of the wild card teams can catch them for the 3 seed. So the Avs are going to be the 3 seed. It's all but guaranteed at this point.
It was all but guaranteed 3 weeks ago.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, too many points to undo, up or down, right? So, but it is what it is. You still got to play the games. We'll talk about it here in the next 30 minutes, but yeah, sometimes they can be challenging, those games, and that was a right way to put it when you said, who's going to care more? I don't know. We'll see.
Even potentially some question marks about the Avs lineup tonight. Avs did call up Chris Wagner as a potential depth option. There's a bunch of dudes that are not showing up for optional skates, which has been the case for 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some guys managing some light injuries. Maybe they're fine. Maybe they're resting guys. Who's to say? All this to just put it out there that my expectations in general are relatively low for this game. And it's not just the Avs either. Vegas maybe has a little bit more of pressure on them, but they're relatively comfortable in the top seed in the Pacific Division right now. It's been a weird NHL season, and that's not necessarily true. The end of this season is shaping up to be weird, because there's just not a lot to play for across the league. Even like the wild card stuff is starting to separate with the Rangers losing today.
Yeah.
You're even looking at a team like Montreal who has a 4-point lead in that wild card spot, which it's not decided.
No.
But it's not like some years where we see races coming down to the last day of the season. These last handful of games are going to be a lot of, I don't want to say going through the motions for teams, but there's going to be some going through the motions.
Yeah, and I think you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Unfortunately, if people think that that's not a true fact, it is a true fact. So, I mean, that's how it is. Just listen, look outside the Avalanche bubble and look outside the, Western Conference bubble. Just look no further than the Florida Panthers, Stanley Cup champs.
Yep.
Finals the last 2 years. And
they've won 3 of their last 10.
But even resting guys now, not even taking chances with little bit of lingering stuff, like you just said,
In Florida's defense, they did go to back-to-back cup finals, so they're probably a team that needs a little bit of rest.
That's what I'm saying, and they know that what's important is that, I think Maurice said it, Coach, he said, we know what our team is. We know that our team will be there. We know that right now it's like a challenge to get through it. And then you'll hear coaches and you want to get to the dance, right? Because it's a long, grueling season. But I think historically, you kind of know by game 65,
who you are.
In
for
not,
sure.
Right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Are you going to need to make a crazy push at the end? I don't know. St. Louis Blues, one of the opponents, they've had to make a crazy run to get themselves in.
Yep.
So, yeah, sure, more power to you. Or you got teams right now like the Seattle Kraken that are putting on a string of victories because it doesn't count anymore. And you're getting opponents that maybe don't really care right now. You know what I mean? And it's so it's hard to judge players. There's always individuals that go on tears, as we know. They pad their stats there, those last. But it's but it's meaningful hockey. No, it's not meaningful hockey. Well, we played 6 playoff teams the last 7 games. That I understand that, but these 6 teams didn't care because they were comfortably, in. It's so it's so skewed. But unfortunately, you got to play those games and you got to get yourself ready, and that's where the Avs are. They got to get themselves ready, and there's only a few games left, but let's get it going. Let's do it right.
Hopefully, look. My expectations are low, but there is a chance that both these teams come out and genuinely this could be a preview of the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
That's not off the table. I don't expect it, but it could happen. Both these teams could get up for this game, and we could see a banger game between two of the potentially best teams in the West. It's on the table. I want to talk more about that a little bit later, but for the game itself, you've seen a lot of talk about it. Realistically, is goal number one tonight for both these teams just don't get injured?
Yep.
So that's why you don't expect maybe the most high-octane game of all time tonight. So
there you go. We're knocking on wood. And I think that's for any team. That's not just for the Avalanche, right? That's any team. You want to make sure that thing keeps moving. You want to make sure that, but there's a way. Of course, there's luck, involved. But you want to make sure you're not doing the wrong things. And when you do wrong things, that's how you get hurt, right? And that's kind of what I'm saying. If you're in the lineup, you're asked to put on that jersey tonight. There's still a sense of pride. There's still a sense of many things, and we'll talk about it here in the next few minutes. But somewhere, somehow, you got to get out there, give it your best. Because you don't want to make sure you leave it out there where you're soft on a play and you get injured. So, again, we've knocked on wood. We can move on from injuries, but you're right. That is the number one thing you want to make sure that that's what dictates it's a win or a loss tonight.
I will say this for the Avs, what we do know, Wedgwood getting the start. You're also no Nichushkin, no Drew, and no Gerard. All of that was expected. We kind of already knew that going in. But the Avs being particularly cautious with their guys right now. On the Wedgwood front, though, it is a little bit interesting. You and I talked about this a little bit the other day. We kind of were expecting or wanting to see Blackwood get a bunch of starts here to kind of ramp back up and be ready to go for the playoffs. Avs clearly don't feel the same way about it.
No, I'm assuming they have a plan, obviously. The Avalanche are a well-prepared team, coaching staff, goalies, players, management. So I'm sure there's a plan in place. But yeah, there's not. I understand there's goalies are a little different. They're a different animal. We all know that. As players, you got to play the game. These guys, they're really on the ice the whole game that they're in there. And it's more about the workload. And, we all know that mentally it's grueling at times for a goalie. Physically, it's grueling. And that's exactly what a playoff series is. So I'm just hoping that everything's on point with them. I'm just hoping that we're just reading too much into it.
Me too.
And, they got that week off, right, before the playoffs, too. So, but that's kind of what I've been saying. Like, there's a lot of time there to work on your game if you need to work. And goalies are sometimes specific about specific movements or little things that's bothering them, and they want to work on their game and get a certain amount of shots from that angle, from that way. Who knows? So, but we'll see. Hopefully, we're reading too much into it. Wedgwood's been awesome. So, and so is McKenzie. But we're saying, Wedgwood is the backup, and we've seen him a lot lately. So, hopefully, we're not reading too much into it.
Would you rather be the team load managing some guys or the team firing their head coach and GM 2 weeks before the playoffs?
I'd like to comment on that one.
Actually, maybe don't answer that, chat, because I'm afraid of what some of you might answer with that question.
Yeah, I don't know enough about basketball, so I really, and I know the big community here, DNVR Nuggets, obviously, but I really don't know enough about basketball. But yeah, if you look at the timing, that's a weird timing. Holy cow. Both?
I know.
Who knows? I don't know. So,
Avs, not their problem on their plate tonight. Their problem is, regardless of load management or whatever it is, you're still trying to go out there and win a hockey game. You got 3 keys for me for the Avs to take this one down against Vegas.
And it's funny because I was sending those last night to Tiff, and I think Bednar will hear a little bit on the presser. It's kind of exactly what this is. Maybe we know something, Key number 1, it's consistency. Listen, it's all about effort, decisions, puck management, and again, you're going to hear Bednar. Right? We're going to play Bednar's press. It's almost identical. It's so funny, but Tiff's here to back me up. It's right here, 4:05 p.m. yesterday, so it is what it is. Number 2, stay the course. You know what I mean? Like, just very simple. Play for 60. Don't play for 31 or 42 or 16. Play for 60. You're almost done with the regular season. Focus on the task. It's very important. And then top guys rise. It starts with the top guys. Let's see a big effort here at home. Reward the fans here from Mac and and Kale and get that win and let the top guys shine and set the tone for the rest of the team. And I think once you do that, you fall. The game is the game. Guys are competitive; they'll compete. You know what I mean? But I think the word that he uses, be listening, is engagement and intensity. That's kind of what coach is looking for. So it's a lot like what those 3 keys are about. So we'll see what happens. And you do that, you get the win and reward the fans that have been awesome again all year long at Ball Arena. So let's make it count.
Count for something. I mean, look, at least get a point out of this one, and then you're done. Last 3 games, if you get a point tonight, there's literally nothing that could happen to change your position.
You're always going to hear, what if? We all know that. So, yes, get that point. So, please, no more what ifs.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It is what it is. So.
Exactly. You mentioned it. We can play it now if you want to hear just how perfectly Ease Keys matched with head coach Bednar's morning skate presser. Let's see what coach had to say about a team that you can tell from his voice might be going through the motions a little bit.
The only question for Jared.
Any of the day-to-day guys good to go today?
They are not.
What do you focus on this stretch of the year? Like, obviously winning is always the goal, but what's your focus here just this last little bit?
Play hard, stay healthy, focus on our habits and puck management.
When you're trying to hone your coaching style as a young coach, do you make a conscious decision not to be yelling and screaming, or is it that you just play to your personality?
I think you got to be true to your personality. We certainly don't want to be yelling and screaming all the time. I think like you got to be solution based. Like there's a time and a place that your players may need a charge depending on your group, and then there's other times where I think there's different approaches likely the best way to go. So it's like, but I do think you got to be true to yourself, your feeling, what you're seeing, what you like and what you dislike, and you got to, be authentic when it comes to that.
I mentioned that because Wedgwood was like, he doesn't come in and say, "Oh, you suck." He's like, "This is why you suck," and presents analytics. I mean, he meant that in a nice way. But is that more? I mean, do you think that kind of based, analytic based solutions work better with players today?
Well, I think they work. I think it depends on your group. But I've been with these guys a long time. I know how competitive they are. I know even if they have a night when we're not competitive, I let them know. But I don't think that I have to yell and scream to, I think there's a certain amount of trust built up there between us and them, and vice versa. And so, and again, we're just looking for solutions. I also understand there's going to be nights when you're not at your best, and so how do you win when you're not? And what can we adjust, or things we can do that can help us in a lot of different ways, and puck management is one of them. We didn't do a very good job managing the puck in St. Louis. We certainly weren't great to start the game. We got more competitive as the game went on, but if we had just managed the puck a little bit better and done a little bit of the early work, we would have saved ourselves lots of headaches. So I try to explain that to them, and then I'll show it to them after so they understand exactly what I'm talking about.
You've had a lot of guys win a lot of individual awards over the last few years. Something like the Art Ross Trophy and Nathan McKinnon being in that race. Is that something you care much about to help him achieve? Is that something you leave up to him? Like, if you guys were locked into a spot and you wanted to give him a rest day, would you want him to take that? Would you want him to go for an Art Ross?
That's all on him. Yeah, I'm good either way. If he wants to try and chase it down, then I'm perfectly happy to help him try and do that. If he's good with where he's at and what he's doing and wanted a rest day, I'd give him that too. He's the one that's got to play the game and be at his best come a week from now and every night really. And so I trust the player on that, especially when I have a relationship with him like I do with Nate.
With that, Nate takes a lot of maintenance days and stuff like that. He works on his own and optionals. Especially recently, he hasn't gotten on the ice a lot. Is that more a product of what you were just saying, it's this time of year and he wants to be fresh, or is that everyone's dealing with a little bit of something this time of year and sometimes you need time off?
It's his routine to be fresh. Yeah, and I think that's sort of evolved over Nate's career year to year. We get to this point in the year, for the last handful of years, he hasn't seen the ice a lot. I think he started that earlier this season, and I'm fine with it. You get to a point as a team where, you've you've worked on your game. There's lots of hard practice days throughout the course of the year because you're trying to get your team where you want it to be. And there's always improvements to be done, but there's many different ways to improve, right? Like you can improve having an analytics meeting and understanding where your team's at and where your team needs to improve. You can follow it up with video sessions. Guys work on their own, on their skills. There's days to have like good team practices, but I also think there's guys that can benefit more from not being on the ice and getting a lift in and this and that. So we've left like a lot of morning skates have been optional this year. A lot of guys have their workout routines in the morning. Not that they didn't before, but they're more personalized. Using those as strength training days depending on our schedule, and when guys need to get on the ice, they do. And like you're kind of just maintaining and honing in on specific details that sometimes are hard to just put into a practice plan. I thought the team had a really good practice the other day. We did some 5-on-5 work. I think that benefited a lot of guys, including Landy, and Nate didn't need to be a part of that.
What do you want to see in how your team stacks up against Vegas's?
Well, they're going to be a team that's got to be reckoned with on this side come playoff time. I don't know that I'm comparing our team tonight against their team overall and taking anything out of it. I just want us to go play hard with good habits.
Good.
Wedgwood going today?
Wedgwood's going today, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, as our Toyota chat put it, Bedsy was basically a language learning model in the morning skate interview on that one. There's just not a whole lot to say. Trust me, I feel it, Bedsy. We talk about this team for an hour every day, and there's just not a lot to say right now.
And you get it, and they've been there. The core's been there, they've been there. And what I'll say to make everybody feel better, including myself, maybe it's trying to make myself feel better, or you or Tiff or whoever in chat, but you got to look at their game, let's say, 55 to 72.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
they were on absolute tear. And that's kind of what it was. And that's what you're going to see. And now it's like,
I think there's a couple of different things to look at there. And Sam Malinsky talked about it after their loss the other night. Yeah, the first 35 minutes of that game is nonsense. They didn't care. It is what it is. But, and it's not, you don't have to be happy with the result. The Avs lost the game. They deserve to lose the game.
Yeah.
But the fact that they made that a 1-goal game goes to show it's still in there. They've got some hockey in there. They'll be just fine when they want to be.
Absolutely. And I think he says it in his interview. Once the puck drops, then you get a competitive flow. Like it's the juices are flowing and you're going, and the preparation's there because the preparation has been done all year. It's not like you're all of a sudden saying like, oh God, I got to prepare because playoffs are next week. You know what I mean? So preparation's been done. I think you just let your instincts go by, but you want to compete, and that's what I'm saying. That's all I care about tonight. If you're dressed and you're playing, just compete. That's all I'm asking.
It's convenient that you brought up preparation, because I want to talk to you from your video coaching side in the pros.
Yeah.
Yes, this game might not be particularly meaningful for either of these teams, but I've already alluded to the idea that there's a very real chance these could be a conference final matchup if things go well for the Avs.
Yep.
Are there things you can take from this, especially as a video coach? Is there stuff you can look at like, when I run through the video, they were doing X against Nathan McKinnon in this game, and we can prepare for that in a series down the line?
Oh, yeah, you can see. And then, remember, was it the other day where, we were making fun of Bednar, I'm trying to remember who he was playing his fourth line against. Oh, was it Edmonton? And we were like, oh, it's a joke. He's just trying to see, a pre-scout, he's trying to throw the pre-scout off, Maybe there's some of that, too, but I think on the other side of things, I think where you can look forward, not forward, but you can look for in a game is face-off alignments, right?
Sure.
In their own end, look, they've been doing this a little different, and then it's not just tonight, it's the last couple games, and they'll put a winger on the wall instead of in the middle, and then, if they lose, what do they do? If they win, is it a hard rim, and then there's a guy going right to the red line, or is he going right to the blue line, or where's the battle taking place? Where can you take advantage of that? So, yeah, in games like this, you'll grab a couple things, because, like you said, who knows, you might play them. And if you play them, that means it's a good thing. It's right? What's wrong?
Vegas. Nick Hague, Alex Pietrangelo out with illness. Jack Eichel out day to day. So Vegas doesn't care at all about this game.
Yeah, so okay. What we're saying is true for both teams. You know, Eichel's got his 100 points, right? He's already got his 100.
I think so.
By the way, what a season he's having, man. But anyway, there's a little bit you can take from face-offs, from forechecks, from control breakouts, from control forechecks. Well, what do they use that? And then maybe Vegas will look at the way, you know. Again, it's hard to tell because you're missing Drew and Natchez. So I was going to say, like, who did they put together on the power play? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of out the window. I think it's more little things, more like face-offs. And because, again, your lineup is a little different than it would be if you're playing them in a few weeks.
No doubt about that. Neither of these teams icing the full complement. We'll put it to you that way on that front. I don't know. Tiff, do we have the Brock Nelson interview? We can play the Brock Nelson interview. It is one thing I wanted to note because the Avs aren't dumb. The Avs aren't out here thinking they're playing great hockey, and this Nelson interview represents that, so we can go ahead and roll it.
I mean, it's tougher road trip for us. I mean, maybe it wasn't a great game off the hop, but fun way to win a game in Chicago, and then tough back-to-back with travel and some delays. And time change and a good showing by us in the second half of back-to-back, which isn't always easy. So resilient group, strong group in terms of just sticking with it. And then in St. Louis, obviously a tough game. Got down early, but battled back to try to give ourselves a chance. Disappointing result, but did some good things.
St. Louis did a lot to limit things offensively. What can you take away from that to try and open up the game a little bit?
Yeah, I tried. I thought power play in the first, I thought we had quite a few looks and shots. Didn't get one to kind of away. It felt like one of those days where we maybe didn't get a ton of 5-on-5 right away, but knew that once we just wanted to get one and kind of get rolling. We were able to get that and have some more pressure. But 5-on-5 is trying to generate a little bit more opportunities early. We kind of dictate that pace of play 5-on-5 to kind of impose our will, I guess, and generate more interior and second, third chances for us offensively. So the nights we've done that, we've been a pretty tough team to beat and play with.
And as you gear up for playoffs, how can tonight be a measuring stick for what to expect?
Yeah, big time. I mean, it's a tough team, big, strong, obviously one of the best teams in the West. So for us, trying to build our game, trending in the right direction for the postseason. Obviously missing a few guys, but gives a few guys different looks and opportunity to maybe play a little bit bigger part. Just trying to find the game and get it going in the right direction, like I said.
Jared's a coach who likes to really mix his lines up even throughout the course of the game. As a new guy coming in, how much does that help so that when you do deal with injuries like you guys are right now, you feel a little bit more comfortable with guys you've been out there with? Yeah,
it feels like we've kind of mixed and matched the top six when everyone was healthy, and obviously now it's a little bit more just with guys out. But having the familiarity to kind of play with anybody at any given moment, I think, is nice. Just that way you kind of know what to expect from different guys and tendencies and how they're reading and reacting to the game. So to have that, chemistry with kind of everyone up and down the lineup, I think is huge. It just adds, a little bit more for us in terms of offense and different change for us.
Thanks so much, Brock.
Yeah.
So, still no final confirmation on the Avs lineup tonight, but we do know for sure on the injury front. Martin Necas day-to-day, Jonathan Drouin day-to-day, Sam Girard day-to-day. You also have Josh Manson, who is skating in a no-contact jersey, which, closer than he was. And then you have the Gabe Landeskog skating with the Colorado Eagles. Will he play? Won't he play this weekend? There's a possibility. We'll see. But most of these injuries are the type of injuries that would be, if tonight was game one of the playoffs, they'd be playing, righty?
I think so. Even Josh, right? I mean,
if you absolutely needed him, he could probably go.
And just put things in perspective. So you got today's Tuesday, so you got Thursday.
Yep.
And then you go for 2 on back-to-back. You're gone like 48 hours.
Yep. And then you got 4 days
then
off.
Then you got at least 4 days off, right?
Minimum 4, yeah.
Because they would start.
I guess the start date the 19th or the 20th? I forget.
So right there, you're going to get a couple of good work days, but you're going to get a couple at least full days off.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think, again, the good thing is it looks like a lot of people, but it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's more, like you said.
Yeah.
I think it's more managing what's lingering and managing the rest of the games and to see what can you do. You know what I mean? And then you look at your roster and you say, okay, this is what we're going with, and then you'll get your couple days of practice. And again, I go back to what I said a few minutes ago. You go back to the whatever it's called there, games, whatever, 55 to 70s. You know, that's the real Avalanche.
I would agree. I would agree
you'll
with
see
that
in the
statement.
playoffs. Yeah.
Is Cristobal a French name or is it more like Spanish?
No, Balle de Cristal. Same thing. Just
Yeah.
different intonation.
All right. Well, get your crystal ball out. What are you predicting for tonight? Give me a name. Give me a number. As this Toronto-Florida game is actually going to end on time. Maybe a first ever.
Wow. I mean, even like before, like the 30 mark. That's nuts. My crystal ball tonight, just because of maybe a little bit of elevated ice time or different type of ice, I'm going to go with, I really liked him. He hasn't scored many goals. I'm going to go Jack Drury. Jack Drury's my guy tonight. I think he gets on the board. I think the Avs win tonight. They win 4-0.
I like it.
Just to make sure people can.
It is Schmid and net for Vegas.
I'm
for the
going
record,
4-0, and then Wedgwood, you know, like, and I love Wedgie. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying, but
I like your 0 in the Vegas side. I'm going to take the Avs win 1-0 in the shootout.
oh my God.
And 2-time clutch master, good stick himself, Arturi Lehkonen, with another shootout goal
All
to put
right.
the Avs over the top.
I like it.
That's what I'm taking tonight.
I
That's what I'm going with. My bets immediately do not reflect that, as I did go with some other pregame picks with Bet365 where things are never ordinary, because in my pregame picks, I first took the Avs to cover. I also took Ross Colton for a 2-goal night.
Good call.
It's plus 5,000. Figured why not jump on it. And then my parlay is already been refunded because Eichel is not playing. But they did have an Eichel Makar both to score for plus 1,000. So maybe they replaced that with someone other than Eichel. And you can jump in on that bet. But yeah, I figured, you know what? Let's take some crazier bets because this game might not be the most high octane of all time. Hey, look, we actually have some low scores in chat. Usually y'all are popping off with crazy scores. I like the low scoring. I think we all agree. It might be a low scoring game. Oh, look, Toronto's all butthurt because they got owned. Very nice. Of course, when you do gamble with Bet365, you must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER today. This is the last homestand of the season. Is there a little something there? Do the Avs want to show a little bit more to their home fans maybe as they wind down this season?
Yeah, again, I'm sticking to Coach. As you guys know, I really like him. I'm sticking to the 2 words, right? Intensity and engagement. That's kind of what I'm. Hey, listen, you end up, you lose the game. If you got some of that, and you know everyone stays healthy, knock on wood, then it's a win. You know what I mean? But I do believe if the Avalanche do get some intensity and do get some engagement, they will win. So, and I understand it's not important. I understand chat and Twitter and social media saying like, you know, it's not important. No, we're not saying it's important. We're just saying it's just important to be engaged in the game and get something out of it and have good puck management and be smart. So if you do that and you win the game, great. If you don't, yeah, it's not the end of the world. Listen, the red flags are not there anymore. I think it's all good. We've talked about it. We're just looking forward to the next level of games, which is playoffs after these 4 games.
Bingo. The only other thing of note, assuming McKinnon is Colton out too? That's funny. My bets are blown up before the game even starts.
Colton's up?
Someone in chat said it. I don't know if that's true or not. I haven't seen anything on the internets yet, but I'll take your word for it. Either way, the maybe one storyline as we're wrapping up here, Nathan McKinnon with a point tonight would tie Joe Sakic for most points all time in an Avalanche jersey. So that's something to watch for.
Absolutely.
We are wrapping things up, though, as puck drop should be soonish. Probably got pushed back a little bit, but we do have a watch-along coming your way. Tune in for that, and at very least, tune in post-game where we'll break it all down for you, even if it is a totally going through the motions game. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you in a few minutes. This has been the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. Goodbye.
we all silly like the mayor.